Next up for the session, that is bringing L&D operations into line with business operation to increase ROI. For this, I would request Ms. Sagaree Chatterjee, Head of Functional Learning and Development, Maersk. Astute learning and development leader with across 20 years of global and regional experience across banking, telecom, supply chain, and shared services, Sagaree brings a strategic and innovative approach to building future-ready organization. Recognized with Most Fabulous Training and Development Leadership Award by the World HRD Congress in 2021. Huge round of applause for Ms. Sagaree Chatterjee.
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, it's so embarrassing because I'm so sorry I was not even looking at you when you were introducing me, and that's not good manners. Yes, so I am now turning around because I was trying to get this fixed, and of course, technology is not everyone's best friend. So on and off, you may hear my voice, but I think I'm otherwise quite loud. Yes, yeah? Great, thank you very much. So that was a fantastic introduction. You know, before I start, I do want to appreciate and acknowledge all the sessions that have been happening since the time I walked in. Of course, I couldn't come in right at the morning slot, but I came in sometime around noon. And that was when the panel discussion was happening, and believe you me, it was enthralling. There were so many times, especially Mayur, when you were speaking, and also when the panel discussion was happening, I wanted to stand up and applaud because you were reading my mind. And here is me with a topic that I think everybody from the time that I walked in has been talking about. So thank you, Sushant, for actually arranging for this. There are so many of these forums that happen, but doing a dedicated one on L&D, hats off to you guys. And thanks for having AP Moeller Maersk here on stage for all of you. So this is what I'm going to talk about, ROI. Yes, a very, very fancy name to the session, but that is where it all boils down to, bringing L&D operations in line with business operations. Okay, that's me, a little bit about what I do. I come from L&D, that's all that I have done in my entire life. Talent management, succession planning, a lot of DEI in the last 10 years, and here I am. There's a reason why I keep this slide always, you know, whenever I speak, because I love this last line. This is me. This is why I think, and we did have this discussion, I think some of you spoke about it. As enablers, L&D is an enabling function, right? So as enablers, I am the cultivator of stakeholder relationships and the creator of learning experience. Who do I have the ROI for? Yes, and who am I giving the experience to? That's exactly what I stand for. That's exactly what I do for a living. Let me put it that way. Another very favorite line of mine, it isn't just, I don't know why all the L and Ds, the ampersand hands have become L. I think that's because we have a Maersk text, a format that we need to use, a font that we need to use. And because some of the systems may not have that, is why you find the ampersand and changing into LLD. Because I think as L&D professionals, we all have that very sharp eye. Oh my God, you know, here's this L&D person talking, and look, there's a spelling error. It's not a spelling error. It's just that the font is not taking on another PC. So L&D is not just about training. It's about enabling performance and growth. But what really happens is there is an unclear ROI. Okay, I don't know how to dim this, but if I were to ask a question to all of you, what does sales bring to an organization? The money, right? What does technology bring to the organization? What does IT bring to the organization? Brilliant, innovation. What does marketing bring to an organization? Brand value. What does L&D bring to an organization? And how do you measure it? the money? Do we bring money into the organization? If anyone's saying a no, you and I need to catch up over a cup of coffee or a glass of beer. That's for sure. Yes, we do bring that value. It is just that we lack two things. And let me be very honest about it. We are horrible salespeople in L&D. And I keep telling my team, I have two of my stalwarts sitting here, Nazneen, who works directly with me, and Naz, you may just want to say hi to everyone, and Praveen, who is also here. I always keep telling my team, guys, if we don't talk about what we do, trust me, nobody else is going to talk about it. You can invest your whole lot of time in stakeholder management, but they all want to sell their own story first. Sometimes along the journey, you're lucky, you get somebody who's going to sell you, great. Otherwise, not. So that's one of our biggest disadvantages. Yes, and two, we do not equate everything with money. It's high time we start doing that. I think in my career, I've been lucky, both with HSBC, Standard Chartered, and now with Maersk. I have walked the 9 yards of doing ROI. I have actually seen the transition from Kirkpatrick model to LTEM. How many of us here have worked with Kirkpatrick model? Brilliant. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today in the next few slides. So why is it that there is a challenge on the table? The challenge on the table with business operations is because L&D is misaligned. I'm really sorry about the spelling errors for L&D. Not an error. I continue to say that. This is because of the font that we have. Because of that, there's low learner engagement, no ROI. What are we expecting people to do? Learn a skill? So what? You know, for a very long time in my career, I had an Argentinian boss. And I don't know how many of you have had bosses in the LAM region, Latin America. They're very straightforward, very clear in terms of what they want. And he would always tell me, so what? And I was deploying LMS in that organization, buying CSOD and Degreed and trying to create learner experience and the whole lot of jazz. And I said, oh, but you know, I don't think we'll be able to go live on time. And he used to say, so what? This is exactly what it is. We don't know what we are measuring. We are only training. Training to do the job. See, training to do the job will never get us an ROI. We spoke about productivity on stage some time back. So either we measure productivity, or we measure efficiency, or we measure something. If not anything, let's measure NPS. I'm sure many of us who are from the service sector, NPS is one of the KPIs that we have. Then, limited measurement of impact. Only 8% L&D leaders effectively measure. Now, this is also very funny. You know why? Because when I was doing this work for HSBC, I realized every time we piloted in a certain country or a region and piloted ROI for a particular program, the world changed. And you couldn't use the same metrics again. So yes, the world is dynamic, and we have to be adaptive to the change. But do we know what is it that we are going to measure? Then, evolve L&D to drive performance and innovation. Very, very clearly, what is it that we are doing to stay ahead of the curve? Yeah, we spoke about learn, unlearn, relearn. What is our role with business? And then, a strategic transformation partner. Clearly, we are not partners. Seat at the table? I tell my team, we need to have a voice at the table. And organizations I have worked in, I have been very clear. We don't have a seat at the table and a voice at the table, you don't get return on investment. We can't be called in last minute and then be told, hey, you know what? This is what the organization vision is for 2030. Please come partner with us. And I want you to train us on this. No. We will not, one, we are not order takers, so you can't tell me what to train you on. I need to do my own analysis. My team needs to understand what the challenges are, and then we got to prepare a solution for you. It's very clear. It doesn't work like that. Gone are those days. I think 2001, 2002, 2003, yeah, 2003, 4. Yes, I used to be with a company called Airtel, Telecom. They used to tell us, train on soft skills, train on a billing system called Keynote. That was great those days. But now you can't. And like somebody said very correctly, we don't have a magic wand. L&D is not a magic wand. It's a part of the ecosystem. The whole ecosystem has to function properly for us also to tell you what value we bring to the table. Yes? Evolving trends, and some of them that we have been involved in. Hyper-personalized learning. See, and irrespective of generational diversity, everyone likes the food to be served on a platter. Now for banking, you're swiping. For shopping, you're swiping. For everything else, you're swiping. When it comes to training, I'm telling you, no, listen, go back to brick. So brick, click, swipe, that's how we've transformed. I am not even going to click. I'm telling you, go to brick. You know what that person is going to say? Not bothered. So here we are trying to arrange for LMS, LXP platforms, giving you AI tools, trying to get what will make it easy for business and people in business to learn. Very, very tailor-made to their learning journeys. This is something that we've been investing in for quite some years now. A shift from job-based trainings to skill-based learning models. And what's the difference? The biggest difference is job-based is for the here and now, and skill-based is for tomorrow. For every role that you have in the organization, you pick it up from the job family, you pick it up from somewhere else, you need to have that competency model established. Functional competencies, professional skills, leadership. Proficiency level, high, medium, low. Gap assessments. Then comes the learning path. Of course, sometimes you're lucky, you own this whole journey. Sometimes you're not so lucky, you share it with the HRBP. But I think it's that collaborative transformation state. But you got to have this. See, the purpose for me to put up this slide is, this all leads to ROI. A standalone ROI will only help you measure attendance or 0th hour feedback. And believe you me, that's rubbish. 0th hour feedback means nothing. You pull up any person from a daily operations, put him or her in the training room, they will give you a 5 out of 5. There's no reason to feel happy about it. Some organizations call it happy sheets. Then integrate learning into the flow of work using data-driven strategies. I think enough has been spoken about it. What is really needed to make that change? So let's look at, we do find some of the non-banking finance colleagues here, industry colleagues here. Collections, very, very easily measurable. Pre-training, what were you collecting? Post-training, what are you collecting? Why do I need to go into what is that person scored us on the happy sheet? How many hours of training has the person done? Not needed. Sales, very, very number focused. Customer service, number focused. Tell me about a job role in your organization that you cannot measure. If that is the case, then you don't have KPIs. Then you need to go back to your business leader and say, buddy, we need to talk. Your people don't have KPIs. If they have KPIs, it's very clear what L&D can actually measure. And then, of course, all of this is to do with the work, and this is to do with the well-being as well. And there comes in your Gallup survey feedback, which is your return on investment, right? Stickiness. Of course, we all say that having a certain amount of attrition is good, but having too much of an attrition is also not good. And this is my most favorite slide for the afternoon. Kirkpatrick, I'm sure many of you are doing it. And I actually made a few notes. Maybe I should just open my phone and read from there. And then there is LTEM. How many of you have started using LTEM? Or you're at least aware of it? So this is something very new, okay, for me. I have not worked too much on it. I have just started experiencing it. I'm trying to see how we can make that shift. So for those of us who are also like me in the journey, LTEM stands for Learning Transfer Evaluation Model. Now what I'm going to read out to you is actually where is it that there is a difference. So Kirkpatrick is pretty straightforward, right? It's got those 4 levels that you measure. Now, what are you measuring? You're measuring reaction. Is the person happy? But please, don't even bother to do that. And if your teams are selling that to you, you got to really coach them. Second is learning. Have I used the learning when I've gone back? And how do we do it? Assessment. But I'll tell you where we go wrong with assessments in L&D. One, it's very, very theoretical always. You know, currently I am actually fighting a fire for one of our GSCs, which is outside of India. The reason we are fighting that fire is because we are doing a whole platform change, and the assessment is pen and paper. There's no case study, there's no caselet, there's no sandbox. And of course the questions are like, what happens in this tool? But when that person goes on the floor and starts performing, they are never told that, you know, what is happening on the tool. They are either told to pass an invoice or, so you know, we are, AP Moller Maersk is a supply chain organization where goods are moving from point A to point B. So any of those processes are not theoretical. So again, not really the best way to assess. Then comes in behavior. Is it sustainable? Now who is assessing? Some organizations, of course, have 360. I'm a big fan of 360 myself. But you could use any other form of assessments. But what we need to be very cautious about is there's no bias. As a line manager, I would never like to tell that my team is not performing. So while in 360 we do take line manager feedback, question it. If that is the right way to do it. Or would you like some of the SMEs or subject matter experts in the business to do the whole assessment game? More unbiased. And of course, then comes in level 4, which is results. And that is what we need to aim for in L&D. See, it is difficult. Because one, you need to have that conversation with the business leader to say, this is what I'm going to show you at the end of the training. Does he or she have the patience to wait? Or it's like, no, 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 we've got 100 people to cover. 100 is a very small number. Whereas when we look at LTEM, there are 8 tiers. From only 4, we are moving to 8. And I'll just call them out. So from attendance to the effects of the transfer. You know, so there's learner perception, knowledge, task competence, and all of that we are referring to. But it has to be a part of the L&D DNA. If you don't measure, you're out of business. You could have the best of LMSs, the best of content, the best of trainers, the best of facilitators. You could do the works. But if you don't bring in that dollar value at the end of the day, there is no point in having that L&D team with the business. Whether we like it or we don't like it. The earlier you establish this, the better it is. Okay, very quickly. Nothing for me to really read out, but this is how the shift is actually happening. From AI-driven micro-learning to firms trying to get money, more money in their budget, making L&D a strategic partner, ensuring that there is an impact on business. Okay, so there is a whole lot of this that's actually doing the rounds. Now let's come to our organization, which is AP Moller Maersk. What are we doing in AP Moller Maersk, and how are we measuring ROI? Okay, so for many of you, who works with European organizations, you know that for every investment, there's a lot of selling that we have to do. Why is it that in L&D I'm asking for money? And a role that I have is very interesting. While I also lead the GCC L&D teams, I also lead the Finance Academy globally. So every moolah counts. So in that, what is it that we do? L&D is embedded with business transformation. And like somebody said, we don't come in at the end of the value chain. We are there from day one. So we know what we are doing. It's a full employee life cycle coverage. We train from hire to retire. Or at least we have products that support from hire to retire. From onboarding to upskilling to reskilling to exit, any form of intervention, we are there. And it is very, very appropriately said in the morning, it is not a one-time flash-in-the-pan exercise. It's not a feel-good factor. There can be learning paths, there can be curriculums that span across months, but this is where we come in, and therefore we need to know what is the value we are adding at each phase for the learner. Leadership coaching and support, clearly this reflects through Gallup, reflects through stickability, succession planning, readiness assessments, business-aligned KPIs, and of course, driving outcome. This is the entire cycle which helps us put that ROI on the table. So you ask me, Sagaree, tell me, what is the ROI for onboarding? I will tell you how quickly my team can train so that we've got people prepared for creating productive outcomes. Okay, you tell me now, you're doing coaching sessions. What's the ROI there? Okay, I know my time is coming nearer. Some of the things we've done in Maersk. The first one, you see that little guy on the corner? Her name is Lumi. She is our chatbot. So instead of people doing a 9-click on the academy page to go to a Coursera or a Skillsoft or somewhere else to find a training, we've got this little girl who is available on Microsoft Teams, and all you need to do is ask Lumi, okay, this is the training I want to do. Where do I find it? How does it help me in ROI? Now you may say, okay, you know what, this is a great thing, but how does it help in your ROI? It just brings learning closest to the learner. We also have to make learning unique, right? And we are sitting with generational diversity in all organizations. Then, of course, we try to create a lot of social learning platforms. So we've got social learning platforms like learning fairs, learning weeks, learning circles. We've got our in-house ID team. They create a lot of gamified content, nugget-sized learning. Again, like people go to YouTube and they just want to find out how do you build a dog's house? Or, what do you do if your child is choking? It's just that one little thing that you want to know in times of stress. And that's why I didn't pick cooking as an example. In this particular case, it's the same thing. That, I am doing the work, and in between, I forget. So what do? I have these little nuggets. You just go there, and you will get it from there. Immediately, return on investment. You see, performance will always be up there. Because you're also enabling them, right? You're giving them all the tools. Then, participating in voluntary, learning initiatives. There are skills and visibility readiness through internal business mobility. And then we also, therefore, start talking about ROI in every conversation. In fact, every time I have a conversation with a business leader, my first question is, what do you want me to improve? Don't tell me train my people on Excel. That's useless. Do you want them to be data scientists? Then Excel is not the training. You will never get an ROI. And that's the probing, that's the conversation, that's the voice at the table that we are talking about. Okay, I'm going to skip this slide. I know we don't have too much. How much time do I have, ma'am? 2 minutes. Okay. So, when it comes to coming back to ROI, map critical skills, super important, because if you have those skills, your learning paths are mapped to it. Every time you are not reinventing the wheel. And because you're not reinventing the wheel each time, you've got a standard offering. Of course, you're going to tailor make it, say, for example, a controlling role. And then you've got business controllers and financial controllers, and how do you make that difference? And therefore, use data analytics to identify. It just strengthens the personalization. Develop a skill-first roadmap. It's not about the here and now. It is about what do you want the person to achieve. ROI becomes much easier because then you know what is the task expectation or the outcome expectation. Don't come to me and tell me that I want my people to process 50% of their invoices in queue. That is not the thing. I can get you to process 80% invoices with terrible quality. Payment will get stuck. A 1-0 from here to there is going to make a whole lot of difference for us in the international trade. So where are we speaking about quality? Am I hinting to my business leader that that's the language we need to speak? If there's a platform that is getting rolled out, don't tell me train 100 people on the platform because they'll use it. Train them in a way so that there's no escalation in the first 30 days. Stay close to business. Keep doing refreshers. These are all mechanics to ensure that your ROI is established. And then invest in measurement tools to track, impact, and guide, foster a culture of continuous learning supported by data. With that, I actually come to the end of what I had to present, but there's one last comment that I want to leave all of you with. It's a transformation of L&D that has happened in the last 10 years. From being order takers, we have a seat at the table, a voice at the table. We are enablers, we are partners. But if you don't bring this dollar value, it's a matter of time, they don't need us anymore. Okay, so if we got to be out there giving our best, let's start measuring every training that we do, every training that we bring to the desks of our people. Yeah, with that, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for listening to me.
Great round of applause for you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your insights.
Anytime.